53 minutes in order to get ready. It is UFO Busted Radio. I am Manny Moonraker, and I'm here talking to you. And I'm not even lying. 53 minutes. Now, let me just say this. Yesterday, I had this podcast ready, completely done, ready to do a podcast, and it got so late because of technical issues that I couldn't do it. And I said, fuck it. Tomorrow is the Thursday freak out. So we will freak out about these two articles together with the Dangerous 4. And I don't even know if they're going to show up, to be honest. But it was madness trying to get right now. I'm telling you, it literally was 9:02 when I started this podcast preparation thing. And it is now 10:02. 1 fucking hour. An hour to get this together. Because, you got system updates. You got copying and pasting to do. You got articles to look at. Pictures to find. You feel bad, right? Because folks on iTunes can't see shit. Like if I say, hey, article number 2, look at the image for the episode. That's what it's about. The folks on iTunes are going to be like, fuck you, Manny, again. I can't see it. Fuck. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I can't. iTunes is iTunes, They've got elephantitis of the balls when it comes to everything they do. So I can't really fight that. I can't really circumcise their situation. I can't do that. They do what they're going to do. They swing it low and they swing it hard. So we'll see. I mean, I'm going to talk to the podcast host and see if maybe we can figure out how to do this. Because today, like the last issue of the episodes for UFO Buster Radio, looking at the logo is important. Because what I do is I talk the shit, tell you about the article, and if there's something particular that you need to look at, and I feel like, nah, they're on the shitter. They're not going to go on there and look at the article. What I do is I put on the image from the article to let you know this is what I'm looking at. I bring this to you because when I looked at this, that's what they had. That's what told me and convinced me that I should talk to you guys about it while you're at work. While you're driving somewhere with your kids in the background, listen to the guy curse his ass off. Fuck. The guy who likes to play somebody by the name of,
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say what one more goddamn time.
Samuel L. Jackson. And my thing is, if your kids are at school and shit, and the fucking teacher comes off and is asking about, where's your homework? And they say, I don't got it. And they say, what? If they come out and talk like Samuel L. Jackson in that clip, that's your own fucking fault. You shouldn't have let them listen to the podcast at such a young age because they don't know. They don't know what their limits are. They will say all kind of shit. Trust me. So if they say what again, motherfucker, to their teacher, I've got to bow out of that conversation. But if you're in a teacher-parent conference, you want to call me, 972-290-1329, I'll happily explain to the teacher they need to back the fuck off. Because they are a UFO Buster Radio alumni. And they get all the privileges of cussing their asses off when things are not right. I like teachers. But some of them are fucked up. I'll be honest with you, and you guys already know it. Some teachers don't give two fuck about teaching your kids, and they definitely don't give a damn about teaching kids about thinking in the abstract. Don't believe in everything you hear in the books. Don't believe in the shit that they're being fed through, their anime cartoons. Just let go of it. Look at your surroundings. Look at what you actually see. Occam's razor. Use that. Occam's razor. Yeah. Use that. It's not that complicated sometimes. Sometimes it's pretty fucking easy to figure out what's going on. Hashtag true story. I got 2 articles, which actually were from yesterday, but like I said, it got a little late yesterday because, you know, it just kills me how all these folks, all these organizations, all these companies want to be updating shit on your equipment. And what say do you have? You have zero say. You have zero say because either you update it or none of the shit works right. That's what happened yesterday. Nothing was working right. By the time I got the articles together and the podcast together, it was late. I could barely keep one eye open, and on top of being drugged up for my tooth issues, I was like, no, I can't do it. I cannot do it. But today, I'm probing you. Because today I got the energy and the what for to get it done. 2 articles today, and it's going to be fascinating. For some people, some of you will be like, oh, man, Manny, I don't care. They say that shit all the time, but that's why I'm bringing it to your attention. I'm bringing it to your attention because that's what the problem is. They say it all the time. New people, the greenhorns, as they say on that one show for crab fishing, on, what is this, Discovery Channel, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, the greenhorns. So they will take all the new reports and they'll be like, oh, God, what, why? They get all worked up about it. Come on. You were just as worked up the first time you took a shit in a trainer potty. That's the truth. You were just as worked up as when you found out that maybe UFOs might be real. Because up until that point, you probably argue with your parents. No, I'm not going to sit on that plastic shitter. No. I'm not going to sit on there. I'm not going to put my ass on there. It's cold. It's not you. At the end of the day, as a little girl or boy, you sat down and you put your booty on there and you ripped it. You jumped up. Like, nobody even had a chance to wipe your ass clean. You just jumped up. It's like, I did it. It's an achievement. My first one. But really, what does that all really come out to? Because when you end up in your 70s, you go through the same situation again, sadly enough. By the way, if you don't know, this is UFO Busted Radio. I am Manny Moonraker, and we have 2 articles to talk about today. This is the Thursday night freakout. It might be the second to the last one, but the number is 972-290-1329. And just a heads up, I will probably not answer your phone call until you hear a song play, because I like to play music. When that music play, please feel free to call in or post questions on the chat box on Spreaker.com. Any other platform, you'll be listening to this on Friday. It will not be live, so you're going to miss out on the action. But nonetheless, you fucking know now. You're aware. And knowing is half the battle. I want to give a shout out to the folks in India. Now, the other day I said, hey, Iran's on the docket. Iran is listening to UFO Buster Radio, and now I've got India. Actually, I've had India a few times, but again, with the whole VPN thing, it's hard to tell if it's a real situation. Is this somebody in Chicago, logging in under a VPN that takes them through India? I don't even know who the fuck would do that. But that's the way it is. Either way, it is probably the 4th or 5th time that I see India on the data. So, what's up, India? The next song is going to be dedicated to the folks in Chennai, India. Did I fuck up the name? I probably did, but that's the way it is. That's what the data says, Chennai. The next song is about you. I want to say a quick shout out to Dr. Green. Yeah. Totally. He says India is still pissed about the moon crash. Listen, I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there about them dropping that rover on the surface of the moon and taking months to acknowledge it. What I said the first time when I talked about this and talking about the clarification, and I'll say it again, India. Listen, India. I understand. You guys, you're a little bit behind, and it's okay. The world is not judging you because you're a little behind. Listen, as Americans in the United States, I'm sure even in Canada and Australia, you always have that one student in the class that's way the fuck behind everyone else. You always have that one employee that can't get right, as they say. People get together and they bring them forward. India, you guys are a fantastic, gigantic, population-wise country. Just accept the fact that you have to embrace the world, especially the world powers, to bring your technology up to speed and stop crashing shit on the fucking moon. It's not cool. It's not cool. Don't be dumping your shit on the moon. You can't. You just can't do it. You can't do it. Get on the bandwagon. Otherwise, you guys that listen from India, I appreciate every single one of you, and I want you to pause the podcast now, turn over to Sanjay or Gupta, or one of those guys, and tell them, hey, I need you to listen to Manny Moonraker. Yeah. And I want you to use the word, he's a shiznit. And tell him that Snoop Dogg said that's the way it is. It really is. We're going to get back to the news episodes in a moment. But first, here's my tribute to the guys in India, whether they're there or not. Fuck, for all I know, they're calling from Canada, but who knows. But here you go. Since if you fucked around and used a VPN, you just fucked up, didn't you? I just want to say this, that Dr. Green just said that the other day the bagpipes rocked. I want to say this, and I gotta be honest about this. I was really disappointed that not a lot of people enjoyed, or at least mentioned that they enjoyed the bagpipes, because I was absolutely fucking thrilled. Like when I heard those bagpipes, holy jamboli. Damn, those things were amazing. Not anything you would expect. Now, I will say this. Living in New York, whenever there was an incident with let's say a police officer in the line of duty meeting their demise, you would hear the bagpipes in the funeral procession. Because, well, of course, they played it on TV. And they should, right? These are the folks that give their lives, emergency responders, that they protect us every day. They're on the beat. They're out there facing dangers. And as of the last, 20 years, those dangers are like 4.2 far fucked up. But they're out there. They still do it. But bagpipes is something that you would see when you see that procession of the funeral for an officer that was down in the line of duty. You would see the bagpipes playing. But that's not what I played it, right? I played it because, for the love of Pete, we need something different. And the bagpipes I don't know, they just called to me. Why not fucking bagpipes, right? Shit. Let's get into the first news article. Thank you, Dr. Green. I appreciate it. So in the chat box live, we have Dr. Green, we have Zachariah, we also have Gooter. Gooter is back. Hello, Gooter. What's going on? He says he's waiting for the ads to end so I can listen. Really? There's no need to call me out for that. You know what I mean? I have no control of that, but it is what it is. Let's get into the first article of craziness. Yeah. Independent UK has an article, and it's in the lifestyle section. I don't know how the fuck this happened. Why would it be in the lifestyle section? Followed by gadgets and tech, and then news and aliens. I don't know. You just cannot write this stuff when it happens. Water is common on alien worlds. Scientists say in finding that could transform search for extraterrestrial life. Is this fucking article from like 40 years ago? Who the fuck wrote this? Really? You're going to tell me that water, again, for the billionth time, is that evidence of potential alien life? Because it doesn't mean shit, really. It doesn't mean shit until you drop some kind of a fucking probe, or you can really get up close and personal to that world, that asteroid, that dwarf-ass fucking planet, they can't even ride the rides of normal people, or the planet, no matter how big it is. Water does not mean shit unless you can get on it and prove some shit. Anyway, water is common on alien worlds. Scientists have found in a study, fucking studies can go to hell, that could change our understanding of how planets form and where we might find alien life. But the thing is, year after year, who fucking cares anymore? Who cares? You see things like the Tic Tac video. You hear things about alien abductions. You hear about, like we had the Stefan Michalak situation in Manitoba. And you're like, who fucking cares that you're looking through, filters to figure out if water is on a planet billions of light years away. Nobody gives two flying fucks about that. That's what science needs to figure out. I get it. You got your degree. You're light looking and extrapolating, theorizing. But why can't you talk about the shit that's happening now? That, to me, is a well-rounded scientist. Sure, you have your fucking ideas. I get it. Sometimes you get on the shitter. It takes too long. Your legs are asleep. You don't want to get up, so you start coming up with theories and shit. I do that all the time. But just admit it. A lot of scientists really do believe in the UFO phenomena, but they are afraid to talk the talk. Instead, they give us the usual red tape bullshit. And this is one of them. According to the article, the rest of it, because I just kind of derailed the whole conversation, water is thought to be a key component in extraterrestrial life, and so finding it elsewhere in the universe is likely to be central to discovering whether aliens exist elsewhere in the universe. Fuck the universe. Yeah, I said it. Fuck the universe. Again, for the quadrillionth time, why are you pocket protected fuckers not focusing in your own backyard? So you really are going to sit around, right? You're going to sit around and look at things billions of light years away. You're going to examine them, figure out whether or not there's water out there. Instead of looking at Enceladus, focusing all your energy to our own solar system and giving us a conclusion. Is there life other than us? Humanity, the apes, the whales, spiders, single-celled amoebas. Is there anything else in our solar system that matches or comes close to what we're doing? Like, stop fucking around. Nobody wants to know what happened 10,000 billion light years away. No, fuck you. And the fact that you think that somebody wants to hear that shit, you're fucked up in the head. You really are. Researchers, and here's the article again. Researchers used data from 19 exoplanets to get detailed measurements of the chemical and thermal properties of exoplanets. They looked at a wide variety of different worlds, from relatively small mini-Neptunes, which we don't give two fucks about mini anything. They're dwarfs. They're midgets of the space continuum. And those that are only 10 times bigger than the Earth, or to quote a different phrase, super Jupiters, that are as big as 600 our own planet, 600 times, because they don't know how to write the word times, and from places that are between 200 C and 2000 C. What the fuck is a C? I understand that this is coming from the independent UK, but what the fuck is that variable C? I don't know. It makes no sense. But again, here is the argument for UFO Buster Radio, an argument you guys all need to kind of, I don't know, gravitate or accept, right? If you, as a, I don't know, astronomer involved in science and extraterrestrial life, if you're publishing studies about extraterrestrial life beyond our solar system, you need to ask yourself, who the fuck cares? Plain and simple. Dr. Green says it's all about the probing. It is. You, the scientist, Dr. Whoever the fuck, you're derailing the conversation of whether or not there is life somewhere else. We have probes running around on Mars. We have scheduled probes to run around Enceladus. We have people in private organizations looking to dump a whole bunch of shit on the moon. But you're worried about shit that we really can't see. And here's the thing, when I talked about earlier about being on the shitter and thinking about things, that happened to me today. I was like, how do we really know that when a scientist writes a study and says that a planet is 5.2 billion light years away, that they are correct? Think about that. When they say that something is X or Y or Z miles away from our planet, are they really correct? Because a lot of times, a lot of times, like 90, 80% of the time, when they tell us something is what it is, eventually they come around and say, due to new data or new observations, we have to retract how we thought about things. We need to go back to the drawing board and come up with new calculations. I guarantee you that it really feels like all these measurements that they're doing eventually, in about 20, 30 years, because no one gives a fuck about correcting them right now, that it's all going to be changed. These distances that they report between exoplanets and different stars and things like that, it's going to go all the fuck out of the window. And Manny Moonraker will be dead by then. UFO Buster Radio would barely be a spark in some of the neurons in your Alzheimer's heads in the future. But you'll remember, you'll be there. And your nurse is going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? What? Manny who? I promise you. It really feels like everything we're being told about these measurements about space and stars is 4.2 far fucked up and not the real deal. There's going to be a lot of retractions in the future, especially as we continue to add things like observatories. And actually all those earthbound observatories that are on the ground, they're fucked, basically thanks to Elon Musk. So we need to get shit in space. We need to get that scuba size telescope in space to look at how to measure things. I just, at my core, I feel that a lot of science that we know today is just a bunch of bullshit. Just enough to answer what we experience, but nothing beyond that. That's the way it is. There's a quote in here by a PhD student, and let me tell you, I'm going to be, let me just be honest with you one more time. If you're trying to make a point in a paper or a publication, don't fucking put your students on there. Are you special? Really? Do you guys sit around and be like, he's my best student, I'm going to let him talk about what my theory is about? No, you don't let your student talk shit. Because your student probably has a feather up his ass. And it tickles him sometimes. Sometimes it tickles him. He gets all giddy. And he goes off the beaten path. He literally forgets about your theory and rolls over on the ground like something amazing is up his rectum. And he says stupid shit. Because it satisfies the ticklishness that he's feeling in his lower quadrant. Here is a student, Louis Wellbanks, who commented on the study, and he is a student working on his PhD at the Institute of Astronomy. He said this: measuring the abundances of these chemicals in extraplanetary atmospheres is something extraordinary, considering that we have not been able to do the same for giant planets in our solar system yet, including Jupiter, our nearest gas giant neighbor. Mr. Wellbanks, you literally hit the nail on the head. You reiterated everything I've been saying for the last year. If you rubber dickers don't even know what the fuck is going on in your own backyard, how in the flying fuck can we believe you when you talk about things that is light years away? Lewis Wellbanks just said the same thing. You literally have no fucking clue. But you're going to sit around and bypass everything that's happening in this solar system you sit in. This is why I'm saying it's a joke. It's a joke. It is laughable. And Louis got it right. Yeah, it's exciting, all right, that you're going to sit around and pull on your junk while you're looking at things that are billions of light years away. But the fucking planet that's in your own solar system, you don't know shit about. You have no fucking clue. You're going to guess about it. Pretty much. Zechariah says, any further thoughts on UFOs and Bigfoot sightings afterwards? Zechariah, you are messing with my mind. Dr. Greenman says, I read a few books about the two being seen together. Oh, sorry, he's replying to Zach about UFOs and Bigfoot. You know, Bigfoot is huge in Texas for some reason. There's a lot of open land in Texas. Land that hasn't been, that's not being hunted on, that's private, not owned by the government, but shit. Bigfoot is no fucking joke. It's not even funny. It looks like the the chat box, it's all about Bigfoot at the moment. So after the next news report, we will, I don't know, in a way tackle Bigfoot. It's not a ufology thing, but there are some people that say that they're connected in one way. The next article, it's really about a situation that's considered by me and many people as a legacy incident. But the reason why I brought it up, it's because it's out of Texas. Yeah, that's where I reside, homies. Odessa, Texas, there was a radio tower incident back in 1973. If you can believe that. Now, it's funny because you hear the name Odessa, Texas. A lot of people talk about Odessa, Texas, and for many different reasons. But however, in 1973, there was a case about a specific incident that dealt with a radio tower and a particular visitor to that tower. It turns out that the original situation happened in 73, but it was pretty much unreported until 2000 when the internet became popular. But if you look at this, the fact the internet has become the worldwide highway for reporting incidents that wasn't available before. And actually, I guarantee you, in 1973, nobody knew where the fuck they would report UFOs to. They have no clue. Zero. In comes the internet. You have sites all over the place. MUFON. You have Newfork. You can go onto the FAA website. Report shit there. All of a sudden, the internet came and you could report things wherever you felt would reach the audience that was specific to your concern, like UFOs. So, in 1973, the summer, July 7th to be exact, a little bit after 6 p.m. in the evening, Stanley Wilson was napping at his home following a really rough day at work. He kicked back some beers, I guess, and decided, fuck, I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to take a fucking nap because I can't do it anymore. The phone rang that evening. And apparently Stanley's wife answered it, and it turned out to be Stanley's grandmother. The grandmother was calling because she wanted to report something to Stanley. She saw something in the sky. She saw something and said, oh, fuck, I need to let my grandson know. He's my favorite one. You know, he scratches my back whenever I need it. He takes me to the grocery store. He buys all the shit I need, and I feed him. I make him fatty. I'm ad-libbing that. That's not in the story, but I could imagine that. So Stanley's grandma, I mean, fuck, you married and shit, and your grandma's calling you to warn you about UFOs. How crazy is that? Legacy incident? Yeah, it really is. It turns out that I can't even read this shit. The grandma decided that she was going to call Stanley to let him know that a UFO was heading his way. I'm not going to lie, but this grandma has got some chutzpah. I'm telling you right now, if my grandma called me and said a UFO was coming away, I'd be like, God, Grandma, you didn't even check your sugar levels today, and just hang up on her. Yeah, and I text somebody, say, can you please check her meds, because they're not right. Yeah, so the grandma says, hey, by the way, Stanley, I love you, but the UFO is heading your way. Stanley and his wife decided to look at each other and say, hey, wait a minute. What the hell is going on? Why is my grandma calling me about this? It turns out Stanley recalled that they both knew it was probably an alien ship because fuck, Grandma said so. Grandma's not going to lie to you. No, Grandma's not going to lie to you in 1 second. I want someone whose grandma has lied to them about something so significant, and then call the podcast number 972-290-1329. No, don't call if grandma lied to you about the shit that she was feeding you, because you wouldn't need it because you're not old school. Don't call me about that kind of stuff, but call me about incidents that were meaningful and basically needed discovery, exploration, research. Because this grandma, she's on it. It turns out that basically Stanley, his wife, decided that maybe they need to go check out where the hell this thing is coming from. After grandma called, he says that they both knew, himself and his wife, that it probably is an alien ship. So they both started watching the craft hover in the air. Stanley's sister, Georgia, and her husband decided to go over to his house and say, hey, flying around the corner. As they jumped out and yelled, did you see it? Punched the air as they both rushed towards Stanley and Judy. They were pretty excited about this UFO. They're not even fucking around. They're not even trying to hide it. So the four of them stood up in the yard of the Wilson's home. Stanley suddenly had an idea of turning into the radio station. When they did so, the disc jockey remarked how a UFO above the station was causing static. Again, multiple witnesses make for credibility. So you have the grandma, she sees a UFO, she calls Stanley. Stanley talks to his wife. The brother shows up with his wife, and they're like, hey, let's chase this bitch down because we see it as well. Oh, fuck, it's by the radio station. The radio station then makes an announcement. Signal's fucked up because there's a UFO here starting shit. But none of this is investigated as a real incident. Why wouldn't it be? Why? It turns out that the disc jockey remarked online, on the air, a UFO above the station was causing static. At this point, Stanley decided he was going to call into the station and let the disc jockey know that they were watching the UFO as he was talking about it. Here's the part that's gonna rub your nuggets raw. When he finally got through to the radio station, old Stanley, the radio station said to him, a government request was made that instantly stops their reporting of the UFO, or that they would lose their broadcasting license. You can't write this stuff. This is the reality. This is the reality that generations before you went through. People were being threatened with their civil liberties. They were being threatened with access and being able to broadcast and do what they do. If they reported certain things that did not fit into what was happening in reality at the time. Now, what is that reality? Fuck, we don't know. We have nothing but conspiracy theories all over the place about what's going on, who's reporting what, who's hiding what, and who's controlling the information highway. But that is another situation where we have now an individual who saw something, followed it with 3 other witnesses, a 4th one being his grandmother, because I'm sure she wasn't mobile. And still, the question thrown back to him was, Are you sure what the fuck you're looking at? Do you really understand what's going on? No. Probably not. Of course he wouldn't. He's just a regular blue-collar person like you. Another legacy incident. And Zachariah says he doesn't recall hearing about this incident. The incidents, especially at this level, local level, someone reporting to the local newspaper, they are prolific. The problem is that we don't know anyone that's going to go in and research the archives, look through who was reporting what, in order to be able to ascertain, is this a UFO hotspot? Did they really see this? Was there something going on in the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, the Navy, that could have caused this situation to happen? It's a little different than someone saying someone came into my room and stole me. No. That's not even the way it reads. That's not even the way it was reported. Another fantastic legacy incident that should be explored. And again, I want to say this. You're warned that you can't take that or any incident that's a legacy incident at face value. You really do have to apply what we know today. There was limited information in the 70s. There was limited information in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, even in the fucking 80s. You need to apply what you know today, consider what they knew then, and then determine if they were telling the truth. Because by today's standards, by where we are at right now in technology, yeah, you could look at anyone that reported anything beyond, let's say, 2005, and say that they're lying. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You don't want to do that. You want to look at their situation. You want to look at their environment, what they know, and what they saw. Did they gather artifacts? Did they bother to pull out their fucking phone that they pay $1,000 for and take one motherfucking picture? That's all you got to do. Take one fucking picture. A nice picture. Yeah, I mean, put yourself in the fucking picture if is that what you're used to. Make it a fucking selfie with a UFO in the background. I don't fucking care. I really don't. Just do it. Just do it. I got another song for you guys just because spring break it's been over for a long time. And then we'll talk slightly about you fucking Bigfoot. I'll be honest, Bigfoot is more a Dark Horde situation, but I know Dark Horde hasn't started yet. It won't be starting until January, but I don't understand what the guys are talking about, because I've heard that Bigfoot and ufology are strong together. Like there is a connection somewhere that we need to pay attention to.
First time I saw you, I knew all the time. It was something in the air the night, and in the way you looked at me. I get nervous when you get close, and my heart fills up with butterflies. And then you leave me speechless. My world turned upside down. break my heart. Don't break my heart. Just say that you won't go and break my. Just say that you won't go and break now. Just say that you won't go and break my. Just say that you won't go and break my. That you won't go and break my. Just say that you won't go and break now. Just say that you won't go and break my.
By the way, the Thursday Freak Out, this is where we free ball. This is the free balling section. And if you have elephantitis of the balls, you go ahead and show them out. So here's what's happening right now in the chat box. We did the news stories, so let's talk about what's on the chat box. And my screen just went completely white because technology is fucking amazing. What is it? Gooter said he investigated the O'Hare UFO incident. He's got a bunch of notes on the top of his Twitters. Gooter, this is not a dark horde topic. This is the UFO Buster Radio topic. And there was some discussion about the dark horde. Dark horde, it's on the way up. The dark horde is coming. The dark horde is about things like Annabelle, hauntings, scary shit, demons, exorcisms, places that appear to be completely and totally haunted, and no one can get a shred of fucking evidence of what's going on. And what happens to the human soul after it dies? Does it really stick around until it completes whatever the fuck unfinished business they have? Who the fuck knows? But that is, yeah. And cryptids, cryptids kind of fall into kind of both, to be honest. And there was a one time where the paranormal included UFOs, Bigfoot and ghosts, demons, and all that kind of good shit. But like I said before, they're trying to separate those. So ufology is ufology, cryptids is cryptids, and includes, the chupacabra and Bigfoot. And then there's those things that make you scared. The shadow people. The demons, the poltergeists. The things that made you swear you would not sleep in that room ever again. That's what the Dark Horde is about. January. That podcast is coming out. When I tell you, I've got so many writers interacting with the Twitter page for the Dark Horde. It's amazing. People who are experiencing dark powers interrupting their lives. It's bananas. The ultimate question for me is the paranormal and things like ufology inexplicably always connected in some way? Can you really ever say that they're not connected? I think there is a thorough and complete connection between the two. I don't see where you can draw the line between the two, especially when you get into the conversations of interdimensional beings that come to you and project messages into your brain. You could almost say the same thing for ghosts, spirits, demons. They project really bad thoughts into your brain. Did it make you believe that what they're projecting to you is real? And who are they? Sure, we got, according to the movies, a lot of names that you call them by. But at the end of the day, are they really an outworldly entity that is using our predisposition for spirituality, religion, in order to control us. That is what the Dark Horde is about. And when I tell you I've had so many authors chiming in, following the Dark Horde, promoting their books, and many of them, they're promoting things that have to do with their personal experience. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I've had a lot of dark experiences as a kid. Hell, as an adult working on a podcast, I had someone say, hey, by the way, I like your podcast, but you have a Archon attached to you that's fucking up your podcast. I mean, at one time I thought that was Big O, but it wasn't. I don't know. What do? You hear these things, you remain positive, and you move forward. That's my take on it. But there is a lot to explore, especially that blurry line in the sand between ufology and the paranormal that you see on these fucking cable channels every other day. Dark Horde is going to explore that. All I can say is, guys, hang tight, because it's coming in a few weeks. And I'm not playing any fucking games. I need to bridge this connection between the two. And I'm sure there is one. We don't understand nature, science, and the human condition. We don't understand it enough to explain these things. And while a scientist might try to derail you with their own fucking theory, at the end of the day, they'll print their theory, they'll have a peer review, and you're still left at square one. Because none of the shit they reported makes sense to them. And about 5 years or so down the road, they're going to retract most of that shit. Hashtag true story. One more song to play on the way out. I thank you guys for listening. This was the Thursday Freakout. And one more to go before the holidays. If you decide that you want to be part of the Freakout, you want to call in, let me know. The contact information is in the description. But if you have email, that's all you want to use. Use ufobusterradio@gmail.com. Email me your situation. Let me know what you want to talk about. And I promise you, you'll get the word out one way or another. Ciao.
Make the booty bounce on the dance floor. bounce on the dance floor.